not unlike one of Saturn's, had already formed inside his left eye. Scrapes mottled his cheeks and chin. But the real stab of pain came from the heckling. The first rule of this fight club is that you can talk about this fight club. Every movement is fair game for discussion and commentary and critique. And on this evening the serenade was deafening. "Finish the round, pussy!" yelled one of the regular fighters, looking over at the carnage as he pounded rhythmically on a speed bag. "Finish the round!" "Pick up your mouthpiece!" a second fighter bellowed. "Show that you want to be here!" screamed a third. "Show us some balls, big boy!" Holata did all of the above, and still the ass-kicking continued. The sound of a leather glove colliding with his kidney echoed through the room, the popping thwack resembling the sound from a shotgun barrel. Scissoring kicks to his calf made a mockery of his pads, causing him to teeter and drop like a felled redwood. Slowly, gamely he rose, only to encounter a knee to the nose that unleashed another stream of blood. Another knee to the gut had him doubled over. It wasn't the pain. Hell, the hurt hadn't registered, at least not yet. It was probably just the spike of adrenaline, but he was feeling weirdly disconnected from his body. No, his real undoing was the fatigue. Holata had figured that he was in decent physical shape, but he was accustomed to training for 3-minute rounds, not the 5-minute rounds they were now making him fight, particularly not in a room with the thermostat dialed up to 100 degrees, the heat meant to simulate extreme conditions. He was used to taking a few blows, but back home he'd always landed the majority of the shots. Above all, he'd always fought opponents who were equally tired. Here, he kept fighting, but his counterparts kept rotating in and out every few minutes. They were fresh. He was sucking air as if it were the most precious commodity on earth. It was all, he assumed correctly, part of the hazing ritual. Holata's body resembled a lowercase r, his legs stable, but his thick torso curled in a semicircle with his head below his shoulders. "Oh," he whimpered meekly. The sound soon died. Even the groaning required reserves of energy he no longer had. Slowly and methodically, his sparring partner leaned in. Sparring partner struck me as an oxymoron, as if the two fighters had the same objective. He was a blond kid with a stubbly face and an abundance of tats, named Ben Rothwell. While Holata hadn't spoken to Rothwell yet, he'd overheard his strong Midwestern accent and the playful lilt of his voice and took him to be a good guy. Now, Holata hoped to hell that Rothwell was nearing to offer a show of mercy, maybe a welcome to the club knock of the gloves or a pat on the back that implied the message, "You okay, man? You're one tough motherfucker." Holata wasn't quite so lucky. Smiling, Rothwell reached around and starched him with a stiff right jab. The blow knocked out Holata's mouthpiece onto the sweat-saturated mat. "Oh," he moaned again, more meekly than before. Mike Tyson once remarked that boxing is a hurt business. Watching Holata struggle, it was clear that boxing didn't have a monopoly. This sport, mixed martial arts, or MMA, is a hurt business. The real hurt business. Holata made it to a back door, practically crawling off the mat. Shafts of light from this hot summer evening in the Midwest poked into the gym as Holata, like plenty of others before him, sought sanctuary from the violence. His stomach reverberated as it tried to puke the carbs he'd eaten for lunch 4 hours earlier. But his dry heaves yielded nothing but a mouthful of blood-saliva gumbo. "Come on back, big fella," came a serenade from inside. "Who said you could leave? You ain't got more balls than that." Holata had fully expected to take a beating in these mixed martial arts sparring sessions. A few days before, he had hauled his 260-pound carcass into his truck outside Oklahoma City. Holata and his buddy Mark Lindsay, himself an old fighter, pointed the truck northeast. They started driving under a big dome of middle American sky, and 10 or so hours later they were in Bettendorf, Iowa, one of the Quad Cities, a cluster of hard-nosed industrial towns, 2 in Illinois, 2 in Iowa, that feel more Rust Belt than Grain Belt and straddle the brown of the Mississippi River. Specifically, they were headed to Miletich's gym, Champion's Fitness, a low-slung brick building a few blocks back from the river, hemmed between a barbershop